don't know, I'm Matt Shabert, Athletic Media Relations Director here at Morehead State. We do have head coach Preston Spradlin on here, a wide variety of media. So I'd like to welcome some of the West Virginia media, I believe we have on here too. 9:50 on Friday evening at Lucas Oil Stadium will be the matchup, Morehead State in West Virginia. We'll let Coach go ahead and kind of give his excitement level and a little bit of a statement here. And then if you'll type into the chat, just Q or question, I'll try to run down and get to everybody that I can. And we'll go along and go from there. I'll try to get it, like I said, I'll try to give everybody permission to record. If you don't have it, I'll try to get to it as you join, or I can also send the recording later on if you need to. Just email me as well. All right, Coach, take it away.
First of all, thanks everybody for being here today. And I know we've all got to be excited just for the opportunity to be a part of March Madness this year. It's been 2 years in the making. I know that makes it extra special for myself and our program to be involved in the tournament this year. And we're really excited. Obviously got down here yesterday and saw what our matchup was going to be against a really good West Virginia team. And so our guys are excited about the matchup. And then late last night found out that we were going to be playing in Lucas Oil late night game. And that just adds to the excitement for our team to get to play in a big time venue that hosts the Final Four, and to get to play a late night game where obviously going to be primetime television for everyone to see.
All right. We'll start off with Greg Hunter.
So, Coach, first of all, how familiar are you with West Virginia? Not just in terms of this year's team, but a Pikeville native and obviously working on the Kentucky staff. So you've had some crossover at times, just your familiarity.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a ton this year, to be honest with you. I hadn't watched them a lot. Just obviously been really honed in on our OVC opponents the past couple months, but a lot of familiarity. During my time at Kentucky, we played West Virginia quite a bit. Lost to them in 2010 to go to the Final Four, beat them the following year. I think we may have played them one other time while I was there. And obviously being from Eastern Kentucky, very close to West Virginia, a lot of familiarity there. But, typical Bob Huggins, West Virginia team, they're going to be very physical, very tough, very rugged, great defense, great rebounding team, good size. And this year, very good offensive team to go along with it from what little bit I've watched over the past couple hours here. So it's going to be a great matchup because in our league, we kind of have the same identity. We pride ourselves on being a very physical, tough, defensive-minded team that dominates the glass and dominates the paint. And so it's going to be a battle of two really comparable teams in terms of our style of play. And so our guys are certainly excited about that matchup.
Next up, Andrew Chernoff.
Hey, Preston, you know how much basketball means to the state of Kentucky. For you guys to be the only school in the state to make it to the big dance, how much pride is that for you in this program?
Well, it's a lot. I mean, it really is. Obviously I'm from Kentucky. I know what basketball means in the state here. I know what March Madness means. And so 2 years removed from the last time there was a tournament, for us to be the only Kentucky team to represent our great state is pretty special. I would imagine we've picked up a lot of fans in the last 12, 24 hours. I would hope so. That we've got some Louisville, Kentucky fans and everyone out there pulling for us and giving us some great support. But it's very special. It means a lot to me personally, being from Kentucky and just knowing the people of the state and their affection for basketball. To be able to represent our state on the national level and be the only team to do it is pretty special.
Gary Graves, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Congratulations. I guess the first question is, when did you feel like this team was, or how did you feel like this team was going to buy in, especially after the start? And when did you really kind of see things take off where you could think about the NCAA?
I felt like our guys from the beginning had great buy-in. We had a difficult schedule. We were shaking off the rust of a lot of guys that did not play last year or were new to our program. 4 of our 5 starters didn't play for us last year. And so that makes a big difference. And so we knew that it was going to take a little time to get our footing, for everybody to find out what their roles were and to really accept those and figure out how they could excel in those. But I feel like coming back after Christmas, we had time to work on ourselves, and we went down to Murray State and won down there in their building for the first time in 18 years. I think that was when we kind of felt like, okay, we belong at the top of this league, and we deserve to be in the conversation for a team that could compete to go to the NCAA tournament. I think that was really the turning point for us there, Gary.
All right, Austin Miller.
Hey, Coach. You have this week off in between Selection Sunday. COVID, obviously, such a big thing this year. How much anxiety is it just to make sure all your guys are healthy? And then what's this bubble like that you're all in right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, it's a different NCAA tournament environment. So, I wouldn't say there's a lot of anxiety to it. It's something that we've been dealing with all year. And our players just deserve so much praise for the buy-in that they've had, how serious they've taken all of the protocols and rules that we've had in place for them. You can put all the rules and things in that you want, but if the student athletes don't buy into it and take it seriously, it's not going to have a good effect. And so our guys just deserve so much credit for that. We've told the guys, hey, this is a very, very level playing field in the NCAA tournament this year. You got a lot of coaches who have, years and years of NCAA tournament experience. You've got players that have it. It doesn't mean as much this year, because it's just so different. And I think your ability to adapt is going to prove to be beneficial for you. So, we started doing some things over the past few weeks to prepare for the OVC tournament and to prepare for potentially what the protocols would be here in the NCAA tournament. And our guys did a fantastic job. They were very mindful during practice, film sessions, whatever it was, different things that we asked them to do that we would have to adhere to once we got to the NCAA tournament. They were all in, and they held themselves to that standard. They got on to their teammates when someone was, forgetting or getting a little relaxed with those things. And again, they deserve so much credit for that. So right now we're kind of in a quarantine mode right now. We arrived last night after the selection show here to the hotel, immediately tested, met with some NCAA representatives to explain exactly what the timeline was going to be. And then this morning we got up, tested again. They kind of gave us the parameters of what we could do throughout the rest of the day. So we're awaiting our second test right now. Once we get that back this afternoon, then we're going to kind of be free to move around the building into our meal room, things like that. We'll have a practice this evening over in the convention center. So that'll really be the first time that we get back together on the court will be tonight.
Over to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on your guys' bid.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just kind of looking at your team with Broom. He's obviously, 6'9", 6'10", big guy, really good on the offensive glass. Derek Culver for West Virginia is kind of a similar player, obviously just a couple years older, but just kind of wondering what you see when you look at Culver. Do you think that is a good matchup with him and Broom?
Yeah, that's going to be the marquee matchup of the night, without a doubt. A little different. We probably play through Janai a little bit more than West Virginia plays through Culver, but he's a fantastic talent, big, strong lefty. He can score it over either shoulder in the post. He can pass and do a lot of things. He's obviously a very gifted athlete. But that'll be a big time matchup. Obviously, Janai is a big focal point for what we do offensively. They're going to know that. They're going to challenge, Derek Culver to make sure that he's ready for the challenge. But it's going to be a great matchup. I know Janai is really excited about it already, and we'll make sure that we get him ready for it.
If I could just ask a quick follow-up with Janai. I mean, obviously, you've been building this program up over the last few years. How important of a recruit was he for you? And did you know what you had with him, when you brought him in?
He was a big recruit, obviously, and we knew he was going to be a really good player. I'd be lying if I knew that he was going to be this good this early. And it's just a testament to who he is, his toughness, his character, his work ethic to just continue to get better and better. But he was a big get for us, and we've had a couple really good classes in a row here of guys, whether it was freshmen coming in who play a lot or played a lot last year that are now sophomores. And then we've done very well in the transfer market as well with some guys that have come in and been able to make an immediate impact for us. And so with that, we've had great balance. We're not losing 6, 7 guys each year to graduation. We're able to sustain a little bit of that as we move forward. But Janai is certainly a marquee recruit for us.
Going down the list, Leanne Akers.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. I'll send you some fuzzy duck up there if you need it.
I need it badly up here.
I want you to talk a little bit about the long-term impact that this appearance in the NCAA tournament is going to have on your program. We were here about a little over a decade ago and changed a lot. What are you anticipating that's going to happen this time?
I always look at things from a recruiting standpoint, and I just think that potentially the landscape of recruiting changing. It's still up in the air as to what the NCAA is going to do with the transfer rule and things like that. Obviously, the transfer market's going to be a big part of the recruiting moving forward. And I think when you've got success or had success rather like we're having right now, it certainly makes it more appealing to attract good Division I players who maybe hadn't experienced that type of team success, but have had good individual success. And so it certainly helps your cause. It helps your cause to do that in attracting more players. And, we've just garnered a lot of attention, even on the high school level and the AAU level that we're certainly excited about. I think in our community, it's really big. We've got a fantastic community in Morehead that is really all in with our university. They love basketball. And so it just helps with that investment a little bit more to maybe up the profile of our program moving forward so that we can sustain some of the success we've had this year.
All right, going in order here, I'll go back to Greg Hunter for one more.
So, Coach, obviously Broom is important to you inside, but explain your style for those of us who haven't seen you. Looks like you surround him with shooters. So just tell us what you want when you guys get on the floor.
Yeah, for us, it starts defensively, Greg. I mean, we put a lot of emphasis. We spend a lot of time defensively, and our numbers reflect that, and rightfully so. That's, our guys bought in early on that we were going to be an elite defensive team, and they didn't balk us on that. They bought in and put in the work, and we've got a really cerebral team defensively. Our guys are very intelligent, great basketball IQs. We've got really good length for a mid-major team. All of our guards, 6'4", can play multiple positions, can guard multiple positions. And so, we finished the season 10 out of 11 defensive statistical categories. We were number 1 in the OVC, and we're very proud of that. And so for us, it starts on the defensive end. Offensively, we want to play off of our defense. If we can get steals and get rebounds and push the ball and play in transition, we certainly want to do that. But at the same time, with our numbers, playing inside out, playing through a guy like Janai and winning the battle of the paint, even with our guards, we're not afraid to slow it down, run our offense, and make sure that we execute and get a good shot. And we always talk to our guys about what's important that we get 2 looks. We want to get a great first shot and set ourselves up with our execution to get a great second shot and put pressure on the other team. But we definitely play inside out. One of the things that we chart as a staff in the game is paint touches. How many are we giving up with drives, post-ups, and then how many are we getting with drives and post-ups? And we really feel like we can win a game if we can just focus on winning that battle of paint touches. We're going to pick up more fouls. We're going to shoot more layups. We're going to increase our shooting percentage with inside-out threes that are coming from the paint. And then getting to the foul line is a big part of what we do as well.
All right, I see a couple hands raised too. I will get to those very soon also, but let's go to Logan Hansen.
Hey, Coach, congratulations once again on your bid.
Thank you.
So my question kind of bounces off that previous question. With Janai in the paint going up against Culver and then Ashaboyan of West Virginia, a good defensive unit there. Who are you kind of expecting to step up in that stead? You got, like you said, you play through a little bit of Broom. Just who are some guys you're hoping to step up in case he kind of gets slowed down by those guys inside?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's going to put a lot on our guards. Just with West Virginia's overall pressure, even getting Janai the ball in the spots where he can be effective, it's going to be on our guards to be able to handle their pressure, being able to get the catches that we need to run our offense that we're used to and that we're comfortable with, getting guys the ball in the spots where they can be successful. A guy that's really important for what we do, Davon Cooper. He'll play the 2, he'll play the 3. Davon can beat you in a lot of different ways, whether obviously it's his outside shooting, as you mentioned, or his playmaking ability, passing the ball. And then, defensively, he's done a fantastic job as well. But it's going to put a lot of pressure on our 2-point guards. KJ Hunt, it's a really good game for him in that, if the West Virginia takes you out of your sets and doesn't allow you to get into your offense the way that you want to, somebody's got to break it down and get the ball cooking off of the dribble, as we call it. We call it getting it cooking. That's our term for. But KJ is a guy that can really do that for us. And then, Talon Cooper, same thing. Talon's a very cerebral point guard, combo guard that we can slide through the 1 and the 2. He's very gifted in ball screens, so we're going to need him to use his vision and his pace to, expose the aggressiveness that West Virginia is going to play with in their ball screen defense.
Gary Graves.
Coach, when you think back of, when you started out as coach of this team and, I guess how quickly everything came together, what was your initial vision in terms of building the program? And, how long did you really think that you could do it? And what do you remember about your days at Kentucky and what you learned there?
Sure. I think to kind of couple those questions together, I think building a program at Morehead State is going to be very different than at Kentucky. Although we do have a fantastic freshman this year who's phenomenal, those don't come around very often at this level as they do at Kentucky level. And so I think you win with experience at this level. And when I got the job 4 years ago, I told our administration it was going to take some time because I was going to be very committed to doing it a certain way, that we were going to have good balance. We weren't just going to go out and try to get 6, 7 junior college guys every single year, that we were going to recruit junior college guys without a doubt, but we wanted to have a good mixture so that we weren't graduating 6, 7 guys every year and having a really good year and then having a lot of drop off. And so that's where guys like Davon Cooper, James Baker come into the mix. They were 2 of the very first players that I signed when I got the job, both from the state of Kentucky. And I think they're a great testament to what our plan was because those guys have really stayed the course. We've surrounded them each and every year with better talent to help complement them, and then they've worked on their games to get better. But I'm very committed to doing it the right way. And we're going to recruit good players, obviously, but we're going to recruit good people. And something that's important to me and my staff is we don't put a lot of stock in what other people say about players in terms of, hey, this guy's really good, he could play for you, or things like that. I mean, you look at our transfers who start for us right now. Skylar Potter, coming from Wright State, averaged 5 points a game. Kevin Hunt Jr. coming from McNeese State, averaged 7 points a game. Those guys, those numbers don't jump off the page at you as big impact, transfer players. But for us, they fit what we wanted. From a character standpoint, from a toughness standpoint, and then from a position. They fit what we wanted in a program. And to me, that's more important than the numbers that jump off the page or what other coaches may say about a player. So we trust our own evaluations, obviously, and it's done well for us, getting guys like Janai, getting guys like Tyjon Claude, and all the players who are in our program who all have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they were under-recruited for whatever reason and came here and blossomed.
All right, let me, got a few more here. Let me get to these hands raised real quick that have been up for just a bit. Michael Casaza. If you are still there. Or if not, let's go to John Titel then.
Thanks, Matt. Coach, just wanted to ask about your Kentucky days as well. And I missed the first few minutes. If this is a repeat, I apologize. But I didn't realize you had, I believe your first year as a grad assistant in 2010, you played West Virginia in the tournament and lost a close one. So my question is, any memories of that 2010 game against the Mountaineers? And Huggins seems like the kind of guy who, shall we say, does not change a lot over time. So is there anything you picked up? I know it was forever ago, but from 2010 that you might use this weekend?
Man, that was a really long time ago. Obviously my roles changed quite a bit from being a grad assistant to a head coach as well. I didn't have much input at that point in time on our game plans or anything like that, to be honest with you. But I remember, the things that are going to be consistent with Coach Huggins' team is just going to be the identity, the toughness and the tenacity that they play with. And I don't care who's wearing those jerseys. If that man's on the sideline wearing a pullover, that's exactly how they're going to play. And that's what you got to be prepared for. And our guys know that. I do remember 1-3-1 back then. I don't know if I've seen much of that or if my assistants have seen much of it this year. It's certainly something that'll be in the back of my mind. Obviously, it's one of those defenses that obviously Coach Huggins is known for having, especially in tournament time. It's also one that can throw you off a little bit if you're not prepared for it. So it'll be something we add to the list to make sure our guys are mindful of. We've seen that a couple times this year. So should we see that again, we'll be prepared for it.
Let's try to go back to Michael Casaza.
Hey, good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. Great. Thank you.
I have two questions for you, if you don't mind. One kind of extends from that, but the brand, I guess, of Huggins and West Virginia is rebounding and defense and toughness, and they still have some of that, as you said. But as you've gotten to know them in the past few hours, they're a much more offensive team than in recent years. When that perception confronts reality for you there, what has that been like?
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. Our identity is much the same. We're going to be defense and rebounding. That's what we hang our hat on as well. And so it's been fun to watch their teams getting up. They've got some really talented shot makers. They really do. I feel like it's not as much about watching them, their plays that they're running, as it is their players making tough shots. And our defense is kind of built to make you take tough shots, make tough twos, contested shots. And then, we pride ourselves on limiting to one tough shot and out. And so it's going to be one of those games where they're probably going to take some tough shots on their own. We don't need much help in that area, but we got to make sure we contest them and we limit them to one because they are a really good offensive rebounding team, as we are. And then you've got to do a great job when you do finish your possessions of really attacking in transition, because once you slow the ball down and you get into a half-court game with them, their pressure, their denial is going to make it really hard for you to run your sets and the shots you're accustomed to getting throughout the year. So we've got to pick our points to run. We've got to stay aggressive. We've got to keep our identity as well. I think you'd be pretty foolish to come into the NCAA tournament winning 19 of your last 20 and scrap everything that you've done. As we say in the mountains, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You got to do what you're supposed to and stick to your identity. So we're going to do that. We're going to win the battle of the paint, and we're going to drive the ball and see where that gets us.
And then going on that 19-1 run here, Huggins was asked that yesterday. What does he think about a team he doesn't know much of yet, but has won 19 out of 20? And he was curious, maybe it's a team that's always up and ready to go. Maybe it's a team that, maybe they take winning for granted now. I don't know. But conversely, when you see a team that has kind of struggled a little bit toward the end against good teams, but has been through the Big 12, before you get to know them, what does their resume say to you?
Well, they got an impressive resume, just the league that they play in. A lot of respect for the Big 12 and all the teams that are in that. And so, and anytime that, you're playing against a 3 seed, they don't just throw those out for funsies. They've earned it, obviously, with their resume. And so this is going to be a really good team. We've faced some really tough teams, playing Ohio State, Kentucky early on, Clemson, Richmond, all those teams in the top 25 at the time that we had played them. Should give us some confidence, obviously, that we know what it takes to play against those teams. I know we didn't fare as well as we're planning to this week, but we learned a great lesson from each one of those games and obviously got better throughout the year. But I think anytime you go into a tournament time, you want to be playing your best, and I think our team has proven that. We played Belmont at home a few weeks ago and went into a close overtime game with them 8 days later in the OVC tournament. Our guys got better. It's not like we changed our game plan. We just got better at it, played more confidently, and really wanted that victory. And we came out, and there was no need for overtime in that one. And so our guys draw confidence from that, as they should. And we're playing well, and we're going to continue to work to get ready for this game to make sure we take that momentum into Friday night.
Austin Miller.
Coach, you've talked about your time at Kentucky. Has Coach Cal reached out to you, and have you asked him for any pointers just as a head coach heading to team to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we've talked, and man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate Cal and what he means to me. I wouldn't be here without him giving me my first opportunity, and he's been so good to me since I've been had the opportunity to be a head coach, and now taking my team to the NCAA tournament. Speaking to him, I feel the pride coming from him, and which I really appreciated from him. But the big thing he talks about is just have fun. And I can remember that from my time being with him. I think if you're making sure that your team is having fun this time of year, there's enough added pressure from media, from social media. These kids are stuck in their rooms, and they turn the TV on, and it's game, and West Virginia and all this stuff. So there's enough pressure. I think if we as a staff and as a program can keep it light, keep it fun, remind the guys why we're here, what's gotten us here, and keep them focused on that. Then those are the things that Cal's always been fantastic at with his team to help them make runs in the tournament.
Back to Andrew.
Preston, two quick questions for you, man. The first, you guys knew you were obviously going to make the tournament. What was that moment like, though, when you saw Morehead State flip on that bracket during the selection show? And then my other follow-up question would be, you talk about wanting to get better every single time you have a break. How has this team gotten better in this break so far?
Yeah, two great questions. First of all, just awesome feeling. You see it every year, right? You see all the teams gathered, and the celebration, the excitement when they see their name called. So you kind of have an expectation as to how you're supposed to react. You've seen it over and over for years, but it was really a great feeling. It was building up because we had a few opponents that came up there that we kind of thought, okay, this is us, and then I think by the time it had gotten to the West Virginia matchup, we had kind of figured it out through process of elimination that was going to be us, and our guys were really excited, and rightfully so. And they're excited about the matchup. We take a lot of pride in being a tough physical team as well, and what better way to test it than the NCAA tournament against a really tough physical West Virginia team. But we've had a great week. We gave the guys a few days off. We really needed to get back in the classroom and take care of business academically and work ahead, just because we knew we were going to be so busy coming down here for the tournament. We had a day of individual work with the guys where they got in with the coaches and worked in groups of 2 and 3. We had a power hour with our character coach who just mentally got our mind right before we got back together on the court as a team. And then we had 3 really good days of practice. We got after it. It was one of those things that we told the guys, said, listen, we're not doing anything new this week. We're not adding any plays yet. We're not changing anything that we do. We're going to get back to the basics. So we did some drill work, emphasized some things that were just specific to us and our identity that we hadn't had a chance to touch on in a while because we were focusing on an opponent every time we got on the court. And on Saturday, we tipped it up and we did a full 20-minute scrimmage with media timeouts and benches and the whole deal, just to make sure we're keeping the guys in game shape and all those things. And, one question that I got going into the week was, do you think it's a disadvantage having so much time from your championship game until you play in the NCAA tournament? Will your guys lose their competitive edge? And my answer was certainly not. And when I mentioned that to my team, they busted out laughing because losing the competitive edge is not something you got to worry about with the Morehead State Eagles. These guys, whether we're playing tic-tac-toe or rock, paper, scissors, they're trying to win at all costs. And so our practices were really competitive the past couple days.
All right, looks like our final question for this morning is Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, two questions for me, both very different. The first one being, you were there in 2016 when Coach Woods resigned and got named the interim. And then obviously you got named the head coach soon after. Can you just kind of talk about that initial trust there was between you and the athletic department early on, and then how that trust maybe kind of built as you began to build this program and into the team it is currently?
Yeah, that's a great question. We had a fantastic administration here. Brian Hutchinson was our athletic director. Wayne Andrews was our president at the time. And so had a great relationship with both of them while I was an assistant. And the year prior to that, on Coach Woods' staff, we had made a fantastic run to the finals of the CBI. And Coach did a great job leading our team through that. And so our athletic director had traveled with us throughout that run. And he'd gotten to see me kind of a little more behind the scenes, I think, than what he had on campus and throughout the regular season. And so he kind of said that ultimately was was the deciding factor for him as to whether or not I was ready to take over on the interim basis. And I think just the relationship with the players, I'd recruited a lot of the guys, had spent a lot of time with them, and had earned their trust. And I think that had a lot to do with the decision to let me be the interim coach to finish the year. But the thing was, we had 6 seniors on that roster that year, and they had won a lot in their junior season, and they expected to win. But my goal was to make sure that their lasting experience, their last memories at Morehead State were really positive ones. And so we just made everything about them. Every decision that was ever made was about those 6 seniors and making sure that they had a great experience at Morehead State. And obviously, anytime that you've got an interim coach, your administration is going to be following you very closely, as ours did. They traveled with us. They would be in practice and all those types of things. And so, there was a little bit of pressure to that to perform, but at the same time, it was a relief because I got to be who I am and coach the way I wanted to. And, obviously it was the right fit on both sides. And I'm very thankful for our administration and believing in me and giving me that opportunity.
And then a second question, obviously with the years in Kentucky and the NCAA tournaments, in the arenas, the larger crowds always tend to kind of get behind the underdogs and root for the underdogs and kind of lift them up. I mean, obviously that might not be the case this year with COVID and the smaller crowds. Do you think it could be harder for underdogs to win in this kind of arenas with the smaller crowds?
No, not really. I think that, COVID has kind of prepared us all for this, right? I think it'd be more of a disadvantage if we were used to playing in front of, massive crowds of 20,000 all year and things like that. So I think it's kind of a level playing field that we've all played in, in lesser crowds this season. Because you kind of learn this year to not draw your energy from the crowd as much. One thing that I think is important that if you've watched any of our games this year, either in person or on television, we have the best bench in the country without question. And we started coaching that bench day one because we knew there were going to be games where there were no fans, and we knew there were going to be games where there were very few fans. And so we said, regardless of if it's a lot or a little, we're going to bring the same energy for our team with the guys that are over there on that bench. And so we've had the goal every game to get a bench warning, and we've gotten quite a few of those this year. We've had quite a few conversations with officials about the rowdiness of our bench, but I'm very proud of that. And it keeps it fun. It keeps it engaged, and our guys have had a blast. And so if you've had the chance to watch any of our games this year, I've gotten more compliments on our bench decorum. It's positive now, but it's high energy than I have our play. And I'm very proud of that because it takes a lot of guys, who don't get to play very much, being engaged and caring for their teammates and giving energy to the floor. And so we pay attention to that on Friday night because it'll be at a high level, no matter how many fans are in the stands.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, I believe that's it. Thank you to everyone this morning. Appreciate your time, and